So I'd now like to introduce and welcome our next speakers, Tā Mark Solomon and Poata Watene. No mai piki mai kōrua. It's a privilege for us to have you both here speaking with us today, and with the fascinating speech title, Ko tahi te pātuki o te manawa, he pū harakeke, he pū kōrero, he pū kotahitanga. Tā Mark Solomon is a respected Māori leader and agent of change for tangata whenua. He has had pivotal roles in tangata whenua-led bodies, both regional for Ngāi Tahu and national, including through the Iwi Leaders Forum. Mark has used his experiences and knowledge of government systems, processes and policy development to advocate for and effect change at government and community levels. Amazing. Poata Watene is a visionary leader committed to his iwi, hapu, marae, whānau and the kiingitanga. A kaitiaki specialist of te ao Māori, Poata has transformed the culture and practices of organisations he has worked for and had leadership roles for more than 20 years, including his current role as Chief Executive of Tū Oho Mai Services since 2019. Poata has extensive experience in therapy, te ao Māori healing and in restorative pathways, which have improved the lives of whānau and provided him with valuable insights into what works for Māori. Tēnā tā Mark, kōrua ko Poata. I know you both bring enormous mana and experience to this mahi today. We look forward to hearing the wisdom that you have to share with us. It's an honour, nō reira. Tēnā kōrua, nau mai mā kōrua te wā. Nā. Okay.
Kia ora hui tātou. Ko tau rā e mātaketaki mai nā te wā kāinga. Ngā wāhi mahi katoa, huri noa te rohe, huri noa te mutu. Te nā koutou, i whai wāhi mai ai, i tō tātou whare kōrero, tō tātou whare wānanga. Talo whalawe le suafo le atua, ko rāna koutou kātoa i te aroa maata o te atua. Mā lō le le. The kōrero I'm about to share is titled Flowers. I didn't want them to know. Actually, I kept it quiet, but thought about it often. This bugger's gonna kill me one day. Uncontrollable rage. Vicious like a raging bull. With one thing on his mind. Pūdaripaka. His rage and anger are like a predator hunting its prey, sniffing for the slightest sign of fear. Protect my kids I will, to the death, because nothing else matters. This bugger's out of control. Got my money, got my phone. Have to use my mate's phone to text my whānau, especially when he's around. But my kids, they're onto it. They are survivors. Protect their mother, they will. Always distracting him, so he's not watching me. Foo, needle rat. This bugger's cut me off. Couldn't even go to my brother's tangi. Wish I told my cousins, so they could have smashed him. See how tough he is. Pūdaripaka. It's been ages since I've seen the whānau. Nobody comes anymore. The whakamā is too heavy. I'm here looking out over my maunga, my awa and my marae. Proud warriors and healers of the past, my tupuna. Not like that bugger. He's not around anymore. That bugger was out of control, and now everyone knows it. can't wait to see my kids. They come at the same time, on the same day. They always bring me flowers and sing waiata. I'm so proud they survived. That bugger can't touch them now. Safe they are in the state. No one believed it would happen to me. But at least I have flowers now. As a reminder that I was once a loving mother. Protector of our whakapapa. And kaitiaki of our whenua. Oh, thanks for the beautiful flowers, my babies. A tāhu ara wāti. E mere ana. E te tuahine e tarangatira hoki wairua mai. Nō tēnei whare. Nō te mana. E kore koe ware tia. Ngā mahi rangatira puta katoa mai i a koe. Rangatira mai. Whakahoki ai koe ki ngō whenua tupu, ngō whenua kura. Ki rota anō rā hoki te mātotorutango o Tiuhoi. Tako tō maina. Wai hau ake mātou ki muri nei. Kia kōrero hea ngā kaupapa, ngā kōrero hāngai pū nei. He pū kōrero, he pū harakeke, he pū kotahitanga. Koe ia ko te pū kotahitanga o te wairua. Koe ia ko te aratoi atua. Kia ora tātou. I'm just looking at the time and realise I've got 6 minutes left before I hand over to my rangatira. Probably, I thought to myself, what can I say in 10 minutes? And giving our wahine a voice. There was a time in the marae, there was a time in our tāne kōrero, whai kōrero in our forums, where the whare tangata, ngā atua wahine, ngā atua Māori, were the norm. And then I travel around to listen to all the different whai kōrero and I challenge some of the whakaaro around, how is it that we no longer hear this kōrero? So tānema, e oho. My key message, I guess, I wanted to bring today as part of our pūkotaitanga is that we're very clear around our commitment to workforce development. My kōrero for today really is 2 parts to it. Tuatahina, I wanted to reach out to all our leaders sitting in here, both within the state, both within our community, hapu iwi, NGO sector. And that we have an opportunity under Te Aorerekura to transform beyond the transactional paradigm, to transform beyond the rhetoric of transformational change. Because all the mātanga and all the tohunga are sitting out in our regions. All our whānau, all the experts, the lived experience are sitting out in the regions. That's where the magic is. And I just wanted to encourage our leadership that that's where the magic and the focus needs to also be. We can talk about the stats, we can talk about the allocation and the resourcing, but what I wanted to focus on in the short time that I have is around how we invest in our kaimahi. What does the investment in the kaimahi look like? And if all our leaders in here were to go back and have a look at your budgets, I wonder if we're even dedicating 10% of your overall budget and spend to toiora and well-being. That's a challenge. We can come here and have these robust discussions in kōrero. I'm fortunate to be part of a number of collectives who believe in the welfare of the kaimahi. So you might want to ask me, and I'm sure there's going to be 100,000 questions popping up online and everything, and I'm happy for you to reach out to me behind the scenes, because I'm sure I can miri the kōrero and provide some insight into how tangata whenua, mana whenua, navigate our way through quite a tricky situation. But te toi o te ora, toi ora. Aspirational well-being, or a lifelong journey to wellness. Koe ia ko te toi o te ora. And so I wanted to talk about quickly about what does toi ora look like for the workforce. Well, it means that for 1 hour a week in my organisation, we have pens down before closing karakia on a Friday, where my kaimahi get to choose the activities that they want to do for their own well-being and their own toiora. Sometimes that's dancing. Sometimes that's kapahaka. Sometimes that's even line dancing. We have 3 bands, believe it or not, within our organisation. And I love listening to their music that they go and play during that time. And that time, as a leader, I ring fence. I commit to not running meetings. I commit, no matter what risks are on the table at the day, that 1 hour within the organisation, all pens are down, and kaimahi toiora is the priority. And I'll be the first one to say this, and my kaimahi know this, is that I don't always get it right. But as leaders, listening to the reo of our workforce is so critical. Our investment into their well-being is how we will bring the magic. Happy to be challenged about it, and I hope you got a week to have that wānanga. Well, I'm sure I see a lot of heads nodding. You know, when you've been in the game in the kaupapa for a long time, investing in the well-being is something that we tend to take for granted. Imagine if all of our sectors went on strike. The country would fall apart. You go from 500 cases to probably 1,500 to 2,000 a day. But sitting in here and online are the mātanga that have not just the voice, not just the lived experience, not just the whakapapa, not just the whale, not just the talanua, not just the church, not just the leadership. We have the environmental connectivity. That's the cue for me to summarise my kōrero. But I do hope that it's resonating in here for our leadership. That's a tough ask. Go and have a look. I'm sure with we're about to turn over to the new financial year, you would have been all drafting up your budgets. Have a look at your budgets and decide for yourself whether the commitment of the organisation truly reflects an organisation that's focused on the well-being of kaimahi. And I'm happy to have that wānanga behind the scenes at some stage. The second part to it is kaimahi. We can talk about clinical supervision and oversight. We can talk about kaitiakitanga, Māori ways of being and health pathways, whatikura, Māorekura pathways. But what I wanted to say today, before I hand it over to my tuakana, is how do we, with the immense pressure, we know from the stats that the mahi has doubled in 4 years with little to no injection of additional resource. We can only have efficiencies for so long before we actually need tinana on the ground, walking alongside our whānau. Nō reira, kia kaha. To all our kaimahi out there, thank you for being such wonderful people. Thank you for the heart and dedication and all the hard work that you do day to day. As leaders, sometimes we need kind reminders. So please continue to reach out to your uplines and remind us that toiora and well-being needs the appropriate level of resourcing and investment to ensure we can shift the experiences for whānau and ainga. Nō reira, kia kaha tātou roto i ngēnā whakaaro i ngēnā tohutu. Mā ngēnā whakaaro tātou e whakairo, haere ake nei, haere ake nei. Kia ora hui hui tātou.
Ka kota pau ai unu ku te maunga ko wai o tō te awa, ko te taiamara kura te moana, no kaikaura te whenua, ko takahanga te marae, ko marukaitate te whare tupuna, ko Ngāti Kuri te hapu, ko Ngaitahu te iwi, ko Mark Solomon ahau. My pleasure to be standing in front of you today. I just will warn you, I'm nowhere near as eloquent as my friend in the talking. And actually in this area, this arena that we're all involved in, I'm pretty new to the game. I didn't get involved until 2015. Up until that time, it would be pretty fair to say that Mark Solomon looked at the world through rose-tinted glasses, saw the good out there, didn't see the bad. But I've been a member of the Police Commissioner's Māori Focus Forum since 2006. In September 2015, the then Police Commissioner Mike Bush, just out of the blue, sent me all the police data for family violence for 2014. To say that I was shocked is an absolute understatement. I was stunned at the scale. To put it into context, in 2014, the New Zealand Police attended 102,000 family violence call-outs. Each of those call-outs averaged 65 minutes, 2 police officers. Just for the police officers to go to the home in 2014 was 221,000 hours of police work. If there was a removal from the home, double it. If there was a charge, then you add more time to that also. Come forward to 22, we've gone from 102,000 family violence call-outs to 173,000 family violence call-outs, but now they average 95 minutes. So just a couple of months ago, the police announced publicly that they now deal with 500 family violence call-outs per day. So that equates to 183,500 call-outs. As I say, those call-outs now average 95 minutes. So last year, the police spent 577.8 thousand hours simply going to the home. I, as I say, was stunned. The 2014 encapsulated 278,000 women and children under violence. And that back in those days, the police were saying maybe 10 to 20% of these are reported. You know, theoretically, we could have over 1 million people per annum under violence. And we don't look too much towards the male side of it, because there are a lot of male victims of family violence out there also, and of abuse. In fact, when I first read the Te Aorerekura strategy, when it first came out, I was pretty stunned. I think I found the word men twice in that document. And it was one of the first things that I raised when I came on to Pūkotahitanga. You know, where's the male abuse? Abuse is abuse. And by not having a section in there about males, you are saying that their abuse is not as bad. It's not, well, it is as bad. What I did with that information, 2015, every year as the chairman of Ngāi Tahu, I would give a State of the Nation address. So in November 2015, I opened up with all of the family violence stats on screens behind me. And I went to Ngāi Tahu. Ngāi Tahu, this is you. In this data are encapsulated some of our great-grandmothers, our grandmothers, our mothers, our aunties, our sisters, our cousins. And you can say the same for the males. They're all in this data. You consistently tell me that the foundation of our culture is whakapapa. And I totally agree with that. And I think this whole issue is a whakapapa issue. But that statement about our foundation of our culture being whakapapa and this data surely has to lead to a question. And the question is, what are we doing about this? You all know it happens, but what we all tend to do is, oh, it wasn't my family, it's that one over the road. But it is in our families, but we keep turning and denying it. If there's one thing in the Te Aorerekura strategy that I think is missing, is a public education on the scale and the scope of family violence, sexual abuse in this country. I would argue that 99% of the citizens of this country have no idea of the scale. They think it's just the odd family. Minister, you made a statement. Now, it was about Pākehā in the system. And there's been some pushback from that. I'll use Christchurch as an example on that issue. In 2016, we started the Integrated Safety Response in Christchurch. In the first month, there were 2,500 family violence call-outs that the Christchurch Police had to deal with. Breaking the numbers down and rounding the figures, it was 1,500 Pākehā families. It was 600 Māori families. It was 300 Pacifica families. It was 100 Asian families. And that's roughly what it is every month in Christchurch, because some of these issues are like they're on a repeat button. Every month the police are attending those families. I don't think it's a race issue. I think it's a male and a female issue, because this violence, this abuse is across all sectors of our society. It's not just within Pākehā, it's not just within Māori, it's within Asian, it's within the ethnic families that are here also. I took some liberty a couple of weeks back. I was invited to be the keynote speaker to Multicultural New Zealand. So I gave them a talk on the family violence, sexual abuse of New Zealand. I was stunned at the number of ethnic women that came up to me after giving that speech, thanking me and saying the issues are rife throughout our communities also. But again, we keep turning. Not my problem. It's that family over the road. I come from a family, well, I'll put it from my perspective, I've had an awesome upbringing, no sexual abuse. I can't ever remember being hit. The only negative that's affected my life is deaths within the family. But I was called home by some cousins to come home, Mark, to have a look at a whakapapa. So I go home, I meet with 4 female first cousins who hand me this big sheet of paper, read our whakapapa, Mark. Well, I read this whakapapa and went, this is not a whakapapa, this is a random set of names. There are some people on this list that are related, but they're 3-4 generations removed. This is not what I'd call straight whakapapa. And actually there's an Indian man here too. And I know there's no Indians in our family in Kaikoura. So it's not a whakapapa. Yes, it is, Mark. This is a whakapapa of sexual abuse in your community. And it's over 3 generations. You'll see the list there, the names in blue. Yes, well, they're the victims and there's 70 of those. You see the ones in red. Yes, well, they're the perpetrators and there's 14 of those. So, my cousin, you're our spokesperson. What are you doing about it? That's how I got involved in the sexual abuse in my community. Been a really interesting journey because it's divided us into 4 camps in our community. The first camp is the victim. The second camp is those that will stand beside the victim. The third camp are those that are absolutely opposed to the victim. The fourth camp, and in my opinion the worst, is the grouping that want it silenced. Don't talk about it. Hide it. Don't let it come out. I refuse to do that. In my opinion, the reason why we had a list of 70 names over 3 generations of sexual abuse is because we keep hiding it. We don't talk about it. And I was actually approached by elders to bury it. Just don't let it go any further. I refused. And I will always refuse on that. I can't stand, as Mark Solomon, a member of the Solomon whānau of Ngāti Kuri, of Ngaitu Ahuriri, and turn my back to it, because this is an abuse against my whakapapa in my community. It's interesting how people work. I received a phone call based on the list from an 80-year-old in my community who literally went, "Dear, I want you to be honest." I said, "What about, Aunt?" "You've read that list, haven't you?" "Yes." "Is my husband's name on that list as one of the perpetrators?" "No." "Who told you that?" She gave me a man's name. "His is, Aunt." "His is what, dear?" "He's one of the perpetrators. This man that's told you this likes little girls and he's dangerous. So you now know who one of the perpetrators is." So far, I've heard 5 names being bandied around my community because I got the woman to destroy the list. It's hearsay. Only a victim can make an allegation. But there's names going through, oh, this person's on the list, this person's on the list. None of them are, but the people putting their names around are on the list. It's a very nice diversion, pointed elsewhere. Goes on in my community. I was on my marae, Takahanga. One of my first cousins came in, a female, wearing big glasses, sunglasses. 3 hours later, inside the wharenui, she still got the sunglasses on. "My cousin, there's no sunlight in here. Why have we got sunglasses on inside? Please take them off." So she did. And she had a big black eye. And then I got the story. "Oh, Mark, I had the worst migraine of my life last night." "My cousin, maybe I can accept that a migraine could burst a blood vessel in your eye. But I do not believe there is any such thing as a migraine that puts a bruise around your eye socket. That's called a fist." And then her partner walked in. So I called him over in front of everybody. "Did you do this?" He acknowledged it. "Man, this is not acceptable in our family. If you're going to continue this rubbish, get out. Leave, because we are not going to allow you to abuse like this." I think it's the duty of every person in this room, of every person in this nation, to stand up and challenge what is going on. We've got to stop the turning and making out that it doesn't exist, because it does. It's everywhere. I did a consultation round after Naito. I'd raised all the issue. I asked permission to come out across our communities and start the discussion on what are we doing about this. To date, I've held 28 consultation hui across to Waiponamu. I started off in the first place only addressing Ngaitahu, but then I got an invitation from Ngāti Kuia, from Canvastown, would you bring your program up here, Mark? I did, to be formally told off in the pōwhiri and reminded that there are 9 tribes in Te Waiponamu, not just one, and that we expect you to bring your program up here too. Currently, the tūpono that I started, we're now dealing with 398 victims and perpetrators side by side. We have 6 navigators that are working full-time with the families, and thanks to Te Puna Aonui, I managed to get some training for our navigators, because they're dealing with the real hard end of life. They're dealing with gang families, they're dealing with people that want nothing to do with any response. But 396, to give you some context of how well it's gone, I was on one marae into Tauihu. We'd gone right through the program, we were just about to wind up when a woman stands and she slams a tokotoko onto the ground and goes to her elders, I have a question. How come when he calls this hui, this meeting house is full, and you're all sitting there going, yes, 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 yes? Well, I've been raising these issues on this marae for 30 years. I've been spat on. I've been beaten up. My car's been vandalised. My home has been vandalised. And even some of you men beat my kids up over it. But when he calls the hui, and Mark, this is not about you, but when he calls it, you're all sitting there shaking your head, yes, yes, yes. Just 6 months ago, we buried that bleep, bleep, bleep. And every one of you men stood at his tangi and praised him up, hill and down. But every one of us knew that he was an active paedophile amongst our children. But at his tangi, he became an angel. Well, I'm sick of this crap. Here's all the perpetrators on our marae. And started with their senior pūkorero. And just started naming. A whole front line of elders, oh no dear, no stop. She didn't. She just continued, but as soon as she finished, I stood. Well, whānau, the lid's well and truly off the box now. You can't screw it back down, because I think I can recite every name that this lady's just given. So what are you doing about it? Their senior pūkorero was banned from the Pai for life that night, because he was the worst perpetrator of violence in their area. Following night, another marae up there, same thing happened, went right through the program, just about to wind up. Man stands up, this has been absolutely amazing, and I like the honesty. Here's all the perpetrators that I know on this marae, and just started naming. But sitting in the audience was a police inspector, a man called Dexter Trail. I knew why Dexter was up in the region, so I just went up to him, well, Dexter, what did you think? Mark, I can't believe how open and honest this has been. Well, man, you can't sit here in plain clothes. You need to stand and identify who you are. So he did. He was Police Inspector Dexter Trail. He'd been seconded to the region because there was a massive paedophile ring running in that region. And he made the statement, we've already arrested 3 of yours, and there are more to follow. But any help the New Zealand Police can give, you've got it. Those communities are the most active in addressing the issues, kanohiki to kanohi, between the perpetrator and the victim side by side. And it is working. The last thing I'd like to say, with that integrated safety response, I started going across to Waiponamu in 2017 in these consultations. In that year, amongst Māori in Te Waiponamu, there was a 19% drop in family violence. And I personally believe it's because we went out and started the conversation in the communities. Here's the data. This is what's going on in your region. What are we doing about it? So again, we'll finish with, I think it's the responsibility of every person in this room, every other citizen out there. We need to be working together, simply saying this is not acceptable in our whānau, in our community. Until we all stand up doing that, we're not going to get all that much traction, because there's still a huge amount of denial out there in the community. Now, the bell hasn't gone, but that is the end of my kōrero. Kia ora tātou.